Hello everyone, welcome back to another week in my classroom. My name is Marily Sanchez and I'm a 4th grade teacher in South Florida. I'm coming to you at the end of the day on Tuesday, January 11th, 2022. I wasn't here yesterday on Monday because I took the day off to have some doctor appointments and to also take care of a few things like getting my car fixed from the accident that happened in October. Because of every slowdown in shipping, they just got the part into the collision center that will fix my car. So I dropped it off, got a rental car, and now I'm waiting to see how long it takes for the repairs to happen. I'm thinking it's gonna be about a week or so. So just going with the flow. All right, so I wanted to show you our agenda for today. Yes, I brought back the agenda because I wasn't here yesterday, and for me, and also because it helps the students, I wanted to have a rundown of what my day would look like, so it kind of helped me. We didn't get through everything, but we got through quite a bit. Starting the morning off with reading, we went ahead and did our weekly language review that we get from One Stop Teacher Shop. We revisited a new kind of corn, and we also reviewed the response questions. We didn't get an opportunity to review the pages 77 through 78 in their Reading Writing Companion, so we'll go ahead and work on that tomorrow. We also didn't get a chance to read this paired selection or review the vocabulary, so again, tomorrow. We did do our bonus reading. I had teacher-led center while the rest of the students did ketchup and pickles, and we did not get to writing today because we needed a couple more minutes getting this sorted out, and yeah, it happens. But in math, we did do the weekly review and we introduced chapter 7 along with the first lesson on how to write fractions as sums. We went to lunch. We had bonus math where I had a teacher-led center and the rest of the students did ketchup and pickles. They went to music and we did social studies, which is chapter 5, a boat and a bus tour. Now I'm just keeping this video short and sweet because I do not want to stay too late. It is raining outside. It's also getting dark. Aftercare is about to leave for the day, and last week Friday I stayed so late that the secretary had to call me at home to make sure I was okay because they noticed that my car was still here when the last aftercare person left. So don't want a repeat of that. I do want to get home at a decent time and not be the last car in the parking lot. So let me just show you a couple of the things that we worked on, specifically our social studies, a boat and a bus tour, to kind of show you what we did with that. And then everything else was just a review of things that I left for them to do yesterday. And that's pretty much it. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so we're going to go ahead and continue with a lot of these things. I am going to have to push a couple of things over to Thursday. Like tomorrow I had planned to do the reading test for Unit 3, Week 5, but I'm just going to move it to Thursday because it just gives us more time to go over these reading skills and go over the vocabulary. So these are the little booklets that I have created myself on questions for each section of chapter 5. It is a pretty long chapter. So today we went ahead and finished the last 5 questions here, and then we started by going over Fort Mose. So I showed them the video that goes along because this is like a virtual field trip. So they got to see actual video and photographs of Fort Mose, what it's there today, and learn a little bit about the history of it. So then we went ahead and finished answering the questions for that section. So tomorrow we're going to read about the Spanish mission in Tallahassee and hopefully finish the rest of it, which is the Citrus Grove in Central Florida and Walt Disney World. So yeah, my friends, that's how our day went. And I have to say, it's been quite challenging coming back from break. We've had a lot of teachers that have been sick, a lot of students that also have been sick and missing school. Last week, I didn't mention it in my vlogs, but I was doing both modalities. I had students that were home quarantined, so they would join us through Zoom. So I did that for a couple of days. We're not required to do so, but I felt like I needed to because I had about 3 students that would join us through Zoom. This week, I had those students back except for 1, and I possibly have a couple of other students that are now needing to be quarantined. So it's just, we're trying to do the best that we can, and I wish I could do the dual modality, and I know some teachers do out there, and props to you, because it is very difficult to have the camera on in the classroom all day while you're teaching your class and making sure that the students online are also being taken care of and also being included. It's like being an octopus without the 8 arms. So, and it's also very exhausting with everything that we have to do now that we're still in the middle of a pandemic. We're in another big wave with Omicron out and about, and people getting sick and testing positive and having health scares here and there. So I'm just saying all this to say that I'm just trying to do my best. And if you're a teacher out there, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And yeah, just check in on your teacher friends for all of us so that you make sure that they're okay. And now I definitely need to get going. So I will see you tomorrow. Hello friends, it is the end of the day on Wednesday, January 12th, 2022, and I'm going to give you a rundown of our agenda. I'm going to check it off like I did yesterday and talk about a few highlights. Even though today was a short day because Wednesdays is always early release, it felt super long. It is like 7 minutes before 6, and I do want to get out of here like I mentioned yesterday. Don't want to stay too late or be the last car here. But I do want to say that I had a full day of teaching with the students, and then after school had a little meeting with my grade level to talk about math and science. And then I went ahead and had a parent-teacher conference, which lasted a little bit right before 5, which I had another appointment to get to, and I just finished right now. So it's been a long day, to say the least. I'm gonna get home. I'm craving some McDonald's fries for some reason. I don't know if I want to get them or not. It all depends on how I feel as I drive home. So we'll see. But let's go through this agenda right now. As always, we started the day with reading with our weekly language review, and then we actually ended up reading our paired selection that we didn't get to read yesterday. I put a pick of the patch, but it's actually the pick of the patch. So we identified text structure, which the students were easily able to do. It was sequence, and then we compared it to the main selection, A New Kind of Corn, which the students were able to identify that the text structure for that one was compare and contrast. And then we reviewed 2 of the response questions. We reviewed vocabulary. In bonus reading, we worked with my bonus group for reading, and then everyone else did ketchup and pickles, which actually ended up just being iReady and reading. And then we had our recess and snack, and we actually did writing today. Yay! We analyzed the opinion prompt that I had left for them to do with the sub, so I wanted to make sure they knew how to do that correctly. We reviewed the sources, we reviewed the writing plan. We didn't finish, so we need to finish tomorrow, and we didn't get to actually work on the opinion essay itself. In math, we did the weekly math review, and we worked on adding and subtracting fractions, which the students loved. Tomorrow, they'll take the mid-chapter checkpoint for that. We went to lunch. We worked in social studies, reading A Boat and a Bus Tour Florida. And we worked on finishing the questions. We have one more section to finish, which is on Walt Disney World. Even though I don't have time for social studies tomorrow, I am going to make it a point first thing in the morning to finish that last section so we're done with those questions and we can move on to the next thing, which is for them to take the chapter test. I'll probably give it to them tomorrow too, because it's only a 10-question test. It's from the same question booklet that I showed you yesterday. I'm trying to take a look at what highlights I want to focus on. I'm thinking probably to show you the writing part and the reading part, because in math, it was just adding fractions with common denominators. So let me go ahead and show you a glimpse of that. This is the paired selection that we worked on. As you can see, it was very easy for the students to notice that this was a sequence structure. And then we talked about the text features and what we can learn from it. We answered 2 questions, which I'll show you in a moment. And then we compared it to the main selection. As you can see, this is compare and contrast because we're learning about BT corn, but we're giving the farmer's perspective versus the consumer's perspective. So we have pros and cons, or advantages and disadvantages. So we're comparing and contrasting the 2. And we had great discussions with this. So these are the set of questions that our district gives us per unit that we work on. And these are the 2 questions that we worked on for that one. So they needed to describe the reasons the author provides to support the idea that growing a giant pumpkin takes knowledge and skill. So we worked on that and we looked for the evidence in the passage. We needed to find at least 2 details. And then we talked about the text structure of the passage and provide evidence to support what the text structure was. Then in writing, we went over the prompt, we analyzed it. I showed them my APT on the side, And we read through the sources and make sure we completed the find the text evidence annotations on the margin of these sources. And after we read all of these sources, we went ahead and started filling in our graphic organizer here. So that is what we ended up doing for writing today. Those are pretty much the highlights from today. I'll see you tomorrow. Hello again. It is now Thursday, January 13th, 2022. I'm coming to you almost at the end of the day, but I just dropped off the students at art, and when they come back, they'll do science. But I'm actually leaving for the day because I need to get another medical test done. But we have been accomplishing a lot of different things in our agenda today, with the exception of writing, because my students needed a little bit more time to finish their reading progress monitoring assessment this morning. So I have been checking off things throughout today. As you can see, we got through all of the reading items. We did bonus reading, and instead of ketchup and pickles, we actually had Spanish. So those students went to Spanish, and then my students for bonus reading stayed back so that I can work with them. And I moved writing because the students needed to finish their progress monitoring assessment. Like I mentioned, we got through all of our math, and we just finished bonus math, and the students are now in art. In math, I was showing the students how to change a fraction greater than 1 into a mixed number and vice versa. So we were working on that, and this is an example on the board. And that is pretty much what I wanted to share with you today. I don't have any other highlights because everything else, like I said, we were testing. This morning, we started with social studies, like I mentioned yesterday, that I wanted to wrap up. So we finished answering the questions. We took a virtual field trip to Disney World, which was a video that comes with our textbook. And then the students took their Chapter 5 social studies test before they started taking their reading test. And of course, then in math, we went over our weekly math review, and then the students took their mid-chapter checkpoint, and we briefly started going over fractions, renaming fractions into mixed numbers and vice versa. And that is where we are right now. So I will go ahead and see you tomorrow because I do have to get going for my appointment. It is now Friday, and I'm at the end of the day, and I have to rush to meet my mentor teacher, or my mentee teacher, because I'm her mentor. And then I got to go to Orange Theory. I just finished meeting with my principal, and I'm going to give you a rundown of our agenda and I think one highlight for today. So as you can see, here's our reading. We accomplished everything. One of the main reasons why I wanted to start this unit today instead of next week, because next week is when we started, is because next week we'll only have 3 days of school with the students, and then they take their iReady diagnostics. So I won't have a lot of time to get through a lot of this. So I'm glad that I was able to get through all of this. We didn't get to do the vocabulary review, which we'll do next week. Then it was time for bonus reading, where I had my students do their computer lessons, and then the rest had ketchup and pickles. We went over writing, math, lunch, recess, PE, and ended the day with science. On the board, I have a lot of math because I was reviewing a couple different things with the students to help them compare fractions that are one away from a whole. So with these, we just need to change them to fractions that have the same denominator. And that way we can see that 4/5 is 8/10, so we can compare it correctly. And then I was reviewing with my students factors and multiples because they are still, some of them, having a hard time remembering what each of them are. So I try to remind them factor, factor, multiple. So factors are numbers that we multiply to get a particular number, and the multiples is what we get when we multiply that number by any of the counting numbers. So we had some problems that I wanted to review with the students. Now, I'll go more into our New Wonders unit next week because it's very heavy on social studies and has really good topics. The essential question is, why is it important to have government, or why is government important? So it is really great. We had a read aloud, as you saw, talking about child labor, and then we read a passage that talked about what would the world be if we didn't have any rules. And it had a lot of second person point of view perspective so that they put themselves into that particular scenario, and we had conversations about that. And with writing, we went ahead and finished our graphic organizer. So next week, I'm planning on having students work on body paragraphs first, and probably in a kind of group kind of activity so that they can build the body paragraph together, making sure they have all those parts of that writing piece. And then, of course, with math, we were just going over mixed numbers and changing them back into fractions and vice versa. So the highlight that I wanted to go over was a sheet that I created in order to help the students review matter. So here's the sheet that I created. I literally just created it today. And the chapter had 4 different lessons, so I make sure that I dedicated 1 section per lesson. And I had the students fill in the blanks. So we had some closed sentences, close as in C-L-O-Z-E. And then I had them go ahead and review the states of matter, the main ones, and different ways that we use water in the different states, how we measure matter, and the differences between physical changes and chemical changes. I'm very happy with how this came out. So next week I told the students they'll have a GIM kit where they will review what they have learned in matter. So I'll be sure to talk about that next week. And like I said, next week is a very short instructional week. And I'm so glad I'm having a 3-day weekend because I need the rest. All right, so that's all I have for you for this week. I hope you enjoyed coming along with me. If you did, don't forget to hit the like button, leave a comment down below, let me know what you thought or any questions you may have. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell for notifications so you don't miss any future videos. I hope you have a beautiful, magical day, and don't forget to smile. Hello dreamers, wishers, and magical thinkers. Thank you so much for making it to the very end of this video and for showing your support. If you'd like to subscribe, you can do so by clicking on my picture down here. You can also check out my latest videos here and here. Don't forget to believe in the magic that's inside you because you are capable of great things. See you next time.